Hi everyone. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the project which I have been recently working on. So instructional design process that we are going to implement here is Kathy Moore's action mapping approach. So the business problem which generally comes up to us is somewhat of this context. Like Ron is a subject matter expert for his company and his team isn't able to identify enough project risks. Now the company has been losing both money and their reputation. So, what's the solution that our subject matter expert would ideally be proposing is he already has a 150 slides PPT with him, and we just need to make it pretty and engaging. That's what the requirement is, and he is telling us that we need to make the team understand how important this is to fix the problem. And he already has a PowerPoint deck with him, and it has everything that they need to know. So what happens is it generally becomes an information dump process. Now what Kathy Moore has suggested in her book as well, that we need to figure out that what are the actions they need to do in order to make that behavior shift, because whatever problem is happening, it is happening due to a lack of certain behavior. So we need to firstly figure out what are the actions that we need to do so that our employees are able to identify the risks correctly. So what we need to do right now is read between the lines and modify the goal as such that we kind of are inculcating the Kathy Morris practice into the objective. So how can we reframe the objective? The same objective can be reframed to that the management workshop participants will be capturing 50% more risks than in the previous workshop, and the participants will categorize each risk. So the learning solution which we are proposing here is that firstly, the workforce will go through our e-learning solution that we will be designing in articulate storyline, and post that they will be attending the workshop. So after engaging in the e-learning training that we have designed in the workshop, they will be able to categorize 50% more risk than the previous workshop that they attended. So that's a more specific learning objective that we have made, and now we will be designing the activities around it, and now we will be basically mapping the actions that they need to do in order to identify the correct risk. So basically, what are the participant actions that we are looking at? Basically, identify potential risks to a project and then share the perceived risks that may cause harm to a project and then categorize the risks. Right, so these are the actions. Now we are kind of heading towards the Kathy Moore's action mapping process, because now we are able to lay down the actions that participants need to do. So we are kind of making that shift from need to know to need to do kind of the direction, and that's what the action mapping approach is all about. So I'll quickly walk you through the project that I have made in articulate storyline implementing the requirements so far. So let's just do a preview of this. So firstly, let's just understand the basic overall flow of our project. So we have two scenes in the project. In the first one, we have firstly a basic introduction, and then we have initial knowledge checks to understand what our participants already know, because everybody has a different learning need, and we need to identify basically what our participants already know, and if they don't know, then we will be prompting them with that knowledge. So the bare minimum knowledge that is required for them in order to complete this e-learning training, that will be given to them through these quizzes. And then after the basic introduction, we will have our risk management objectives, definitions, and the process. Right, so let's just start off the preview. All right, so we have now the preview ready. So it's asking for my name. I'll enter my name here and then click on the next. So whatever name I am entering here it is getting captured in a variable. So I've designed a variable in articulate storyline, and it's getting captured in that variable. And now we are referencing this variable in the form of a text over here. So it is now prompting, hey Ankit, glad to see you here. Our risk management workshop is this afternoon, and its purpose is to identify and categorize risk. What do you think a risk is? So it's asking me already basically, and making the learning engaging by asking me what a risk is. Okay, so I'm gonna take a minute to think about it. And then when I move on to my next slide, now I've used the quizzing feature here which is asking me few basic knowledge checks question to evaluate my already known understanding of risk management. So basically the question is, what are my thoughts on risk? So I think risk can be positive or negative, and if it's a positive risk, then it would lead to favorable outcomes, and if it's a negative risk, then it will obviously cause damages. So okay, that's a correct response. So over here, definitely I've used the articulate storylines quizzing feature, which can be very easily used by just simply clicking on the new slide and then selecting the relevant quiz options that we want to select. And then after that, it's asking me, after the risks are identified on the project, what strategy or strategies would be most appropriate to follow. So all the four strategies are appropriate to follow. We can either transfer the risk, accept the risk, reduce the risk, or avoid them. So now I'm going to click next, and voila, that's also correct. So now this is where these things start to get a little bit interesting, and where we start using storyline specific animations and tools. So as soon as I moved on to the next slide, let me move on to the next slide once again. I can see this is an animation which is getting executed, and now basically the prompt is telling me hover over the team members to let them give their introduction. So the way I have developed it is, I have basically used state management here. I've inserted the character, and then I'm making use of two states. So and then I'm triggering the states by using the hover action. So as soon as I'm hovering over the character, the trigger is triggering the next state, and basically the next state is making the character smile. So the from the storyline content library, I've selected Alexa's smiling face over here, and then we have two states. One is the normal state, and the second one is the smiling state. And as soon as I'm hovering over the character, it is getting transition to the smiling state. And also I have added the introduction over here. So similar logic I have followed for all the four characters. As soon as I hover over them, the states are getting transition, and we are seeing this beautiful animation in place. So that's all folks for this video. So as soon as I click on next, basically I'll be moving ahead with the risk management training training scene, where I have the objectives, definitions, and process. And meanwhile, it's work in progress. I'll surely be posting a next video once I am done finishing off this scene as well. So for now, that's all for this video. I hope you were able to get a basic gist of how the overall project worked. Thank you for watching.